Hey Shooby Doodlers, how are you doing? I am starting an experiment. I'm going to try and do like a month. It's about breaking habits. I don't think I'm going to entirely break it. I was hanging out with Pat, who's one of my patrons this week, and we were talking about pens, and she was showing me all her fantastic noodler pens. And you probably know that I'm obsessed with the Rotring Tikky graphic. And but she made me kind of think, maybe I should try other things. And I have a collection of dip pens. I bought a couple about a year ago or something like that. I used once and put away. And I realised one of the reasons I put it away was because they didn't kind of work that well. So I've been looking up online and I found out that you need potatoes. So I am going to spend the next month trying to break a very deep habit of just using a Rotring Tikky pen, and to start using dip pens. And if I get really into that, then maybe I might get a kind of a noodly fountain pen and see how I get on. Just see if it's a sort of a different experience and whatever. So anyway, this is a little video all about how I get on with it at the start. So here I have got some ink. I've actually got some new ink on order, which Pat recommended to me, which is called Black Carbon Ink by Platinum. But here I got some that I got a while back. This is Tarlan's Indian ink. So this is waterproof. And for me, that's really important. And I'm just going to try a little bit. So I got this dip pen a little while ago, and I just wasn't kind of very happy with it. And actually, it's not doing too badly, really. But then yesterday, it dawned on me, maybe pens need preparation. And somewhere in the back of my mind, I've heard that is something that you do. And I found an article on thepostmansknock.com by Lindsay Bugby, and she said to use a potato. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to clean the ink off this and put the lid back on. And then I am going to prepare my nib. I'm going to very, very carefully push that, because you've got to be careful not to kind of twist the nib as well. So I'm just going to stick that in there for about 15 minutes. And as it happened, I got a couple of other nibs at the same time, so I'm going to do the same thing with them as well. And why am I doing this? Because the manufacturers, they kind of put protective oils on the nibs to protect them, in transit, and to keep them from rusting. So something in the potatoes, acids or something like that, is going to clean off those inks, and we will see how it goes. And maybe I will start using dip pens far more. So my alarm has just woken me up, and it is time to take my nibs out of the potato. And is there any difference? It's not kind of, I don't know. Actually, there is. I don't know if you can see, but there's a kind of a bluey sheen on the original bit, and there isn't on the bit that's been in the potato. And here, this one's got a kind of an instant rusty look. And this one, again, it looks like something sort of come away from it. So what am I going to do? I've got a jam jar I use for my watercolour paints, and I'm just going to very gently clean and dry those. This is the one I think would be really interesting. I bought these so long ago, it must be a year or two ago. I can't remember what they are. I can look it up on my order. But it'd be interesting just to see how they perform now. This is what I would call a crow quill. And so that is just flowing really nicely. So let's see how this one's doing, which is pretty much the same. I wonder whether was to think about this in terms of drawing. So why am I doing this? I was chatting with my patron Pat this week, and she's crazy for fountain pens, and she was showing me all her beautiful fountain pens. You know, I do love my Rotring pens, my Tikky graphics, and they're really easy to take away. But you know, I'm just becoming more conscious of this plastic thing, and I have this brush pen, but I find that really quite hard to handle. for drawing. So let me get this one here now and see how that works. Oh, that's kind of different, and it sort of opens up really wide, that, so you're getting very thin to very, oh, let's run out of ink. Very, very thin to very, very, oh, there's a big blob. Very thin to very big. And of course, really, you should be drawing at an angle as well to allow the ink to flow down. So yeah, so I'm beginning to, every time I throw one of these away, I feel a little bit odd. and then sometimes I have this habit of, when I'm talking to people, I hold them like this and I open them up, and I find that the heat of my hand has made them explode. So I am now kind of starting to think about sort of noodling fountain pens and maybe trying to draw with a more interesting line than just a kind of a standard. I do manage to get quite an interesting sort of series, this amount of lines out of the Rotring pen. So, you know, you can see you've got a kind of thin edge, and I do find I can get quite a lot out of it. And then sometimes the nib actually kind of crushes, and you can get some really great effects out of it. I think there's a defect in the nib every now and then. But the one thing I like about the Rotring pen is that they are waterproof, and that is really important to me as a watercolour painter sketcher. So if I were to have a noodling pen, Pat sort of pointed out about the ink, I've got this carbon black stuff coming, and it's waterproof, but it doesn't clog up fountain pens. So this is going to be a bit of a journey for me. And join me. Click up here and make sure you're subscribed to the Shoo Rayner drawing channel. I'm going to do a lot more about dip pens and stuff, drawing with dip pens, and I'll put a playlist up here that you can follow too. So this is going to be quite interesting. And now perhaps I should actually draw something and see how that goes. I'm obviously not used to this because I'm flicking ink all over the place, so I think there's all sorts of skills to be learned here. What am I doing? I am going to be drawing Benny. And who is Benny? Benny he's a pretty cool dog, and he is going to be, over this year, I'm planning to do 2 picture books with Benny and Penny, and this is interesting, isn't it? So this is Benny. Hang on. You see, I'm concentrating. So over the year, I'm planning to do 2 picture books with Benny and Penny, and they are a couple, a cat and a dog. How weird is that? So I'm thinking. Now, I'm going to be in Scotland on the end of March. I'm going to go to the Dumfries Children's Book Festival. And so I'm wanting to do this little drawing to stick onto Twitter. I've done one. I did it on Instagram, but I want to do one on Twitter as well. So here we're going to have Benny is doing the Highland Fling, and I've started far too low, so it looks like I'm not really going to fit the kilt in here at the moment. So right, we're going to want kind of a floppy lacy kind of sleeves, cuff is the word I'm looking for, and it's going to be his jacket coming down there, tie. And then we're going to kind of lose a whole lot of stuff with his kilt, so we're not going to see him sort of dancing properly. So this is his sporran, and he's dancing the Highland Fling. So his kilt is going pretty wild. Ta-da! Like that. And then we're going to want to have some tartan kind of crisscross patterns going on here. And
then we're going to want some other ones that are going like that every now and then. I don't see why I can't just get another piece of paper, stick it under there, because this is all going to get scanned into Affinity. Have I told you about that? I am doing almost everything now in Affinity Photo. I think we get little kind of things like that. And why am I doing that? Because I am tired. I am tired of paying Adobe £600 a year, or that would be 600, and I think it's $600 in the States, which means we get ripped off in this country even more, because $600 in this should be about £400, and we have to pay $600 in the UK, which is even more of a rip-off. I mean, I know it's incredibly good software, but I've discovered that, oh, I haven't put hands in. Oh my goodness, pause. There we go. No, I don't mean pause and wait. I mean, they're not hands, they're paws. So he'll be going, da-da, so his thumb will be on the inside, like that. And have a bit of that going on. So I have pretty well converted over to Affinity Photo. I don't really use Illustrator much, but I've got Affinity Designer if I need to do that. I like cleaning my nib. And then I've got Affinity Publisher Beta, so I don't need Adobe anymore, although I still have to pay for it, and that really does gall me, that. So when my annual Adobe thing comes up, I'm going to be able to say no thank you, and use Affinity. Oh, I need to dry this. If you want to know more about Affinity, join me on Patreon at the Illustrator level, and I will teach you all about it. Hair dry. I think this is going to be the one big difference with the dip pen, is everything will take longer to dry, because you're just actually physically putting more ink down on the page, and it's a different kind of ink. So the Rotring pen has pigment ink, whereas this is obviously a lacquer kind of thing going on, and it just takes that bit longer to dry. Ooh, little knees. So a little bit of pink in there, I think, and a bit of kind of pink in there, and I think it needs a bit on the knees as well, probably underneath there, like that. Right, now, well, let's try. I can put a bit of blue in there, and I think we can have a little bit of blue in the shirt as well. Oh, and the cuffs as well, I should think, something like that. And then we want that to be quite a dull. It's going to have a nice red tie. And I can go, while I'm doing that, I can slap a load of red in here on his kilt. Whoosh it about. I'm not worrying about going over the lines, because I want to kind of get that feeling of movement there. I don't really mind if it gets a bit wishy-washy like that. And we're going to want red socks, or stockings. Would they be stockings? Probably. And a little flash coming off there as well. And a little bit of kind of full strength colour in, just to kind of give it kind of contour, and then I'm going to go for my, I keep meaning to check this out, whether it's neutral tint or Davies grey. I think, I'm not convinced it's neutral tint. I think it might be Davies grey. Anyway, normally I would use neutral tint, and this tin of paints I gave my mum in 1984 or something, and it has come back to me. She didn't really use them in the end, which is a shame. Right, how are we doing? That's looking good. And I think we need a bit of kind of, I've forgotten, I think, is it badger fur or something like that? Thingies are made of sporrans, I'm not quite sure. And we want, again, sort of black pumps like that. And so Benny has splodges on his head like that, and probably has something on his knees, I should imagine. Tail! Are we going to see his tail? I hadn't really thought of that. I'm just going to stick that in with with my Rotring pen, because that's going to take too long to get dip pens out. So I'm going to put a little bit of shade underneath there like that, and maybe a bit under there too, maybe a little bit underneath there, and we need to kind of make this a bit more sort of modelled and shaped. I'm going to do something like that. It's probably all a bit quick, really. This isn't a tutorial, this isn't a drawing tutorial, this is about pens. So I'm not showing you how to draw. I think eventually I will show you how to draw Benny and other dogs. I'm certainly going to be doing other dogs. I am planning a series on YouTube called 100 Dogs. I'll be introducing that very soon. And I'll maybe draw you a dog. That would be pretty cool, wouldn't it? So that's looking good, that's looking good. We need a bit of shade under there, and we need a bit of, I think we'll do kind of blue. Let's get this kind of tartan feel like that, and I'm inclined to think that that is probably all I need to do. That's quite fun, and I am going to put this up on Etsy, I think. So, so if you would like to own this, including sellotape and the extra bit stuck on the bottom, go to my Etsy page, and if you're one of my patrons, you actually get a discount too. So there you are. Goodness, it's so good. It's so worthwhile joining my Patreon page, isn't it? Come and join along with all the others. Where we have fun and stuff and learn and do and just generally do kind of illustration stuff. So there we go. I think that is quite interesting. It's kind of a more interesting line. And actually I did another one. This is one I did on Instagram. This is actually my sketchbook. So this is drawn with a Rotring pen. And this is actually a more kind of sensitive line. This is much darker. I will go and scan this now and see what happens. So how do I feel about the dip pen? That was quite fun. I think this is a journey I need to go on and come along with me and see how it works out. It's not really portable, is it? So I think I have to get used to it in a dip pen and see if I want to kind of go and invest in a noodler pen, and we'll see where it goes from there. So thanks for watching. Click up here to join me on Patreon. And in the meantime, keep drawing, drawing, drawing. Practice, practice, practice. And I'll see you next time. You take care now. Bye-bye.